Welcome everybody. This is Microsoft 365 and Power Platform weekly community call. It is January 16. My name is Juvonen. I'm a principal product manager in Microsoft 365 community areas, well, together with Power Platform friends as well. Today we'll go through the typical set of recapping assets and some latest news. Not that many news actually within the last week, except the one big news yesterday, which we're going to just recap that one within here as well. And then on top of that, we'll have the real stars of today. So we'll start with Garry around extending Copilot for Microsoft 365 with plugins. So this is part of that longer series around Microsoft 365 Copilot extensibility, which is now super relevant after yesterday's big news from Microsoft. We're going to cover that one in a second, as mentioned. Then Grant Archibald is going to talk about the introduction to Approvals Kit for Power Platform. Really, really cool stuff and makes it easier to build those business processes within the companies for sure. And then Patrick Rodgers is going to talk about extended authentication options for SharePoint Site.Selected permissions and app folders. So really, really cool to see that as well. So a lot of options in all of this. I will hide quickly the transcript from my screen because I don't want to see what I'm actually saying. That does not work. There we go. Now I can see the chat. Cool. Quickly recapping all of the different assets which we have available for you to get started. So first of all, we have the YouTube channel where all of these recordings, call recordings are getting published, including individual demos as individual videos. So you cannot access the recording directly from chat. That does not work for external people. It only works for Microsoft people. But that's the reason why we are publishing always the recording calls. Recordings of these calls directly within a YouTube channel, typically within 24 hours after the call. We have our LinkedIn group for discussions and updates. If you're finding something cool, you can use that to share things out. You can, of course, use your own profile in LinkedIn as well. We have a lot of open source assets, and but as there's so many samples, so many GitHub repos, we have gathered them to our sample galleries, so which makes it easier to find the relevant sample and assets for you. And there's the one location, AKMS Community Home, from where you find all of these links, all of the other assets, and all of the additional details what's available throughout our Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community assets. Now, we do have a lot of community calls. Actually, last calendar years, we had more than 32,000 attendees within these community calls, and we had 107 community calls altogether within last calendar year. That's a pretty mind-boggling number. Every single Tuesday, we have the Microsoft 365 Power Platform community call happening at 8 a.m. Pacific time, where we always have Microsoft presenters, so cloud advocates, engineers, product managers, and so on, showing you the latest and greatest what they built or what their organization has been releasing. On top of that, we have the Power Platform monthly community call happening actually tomorrow, where we typically have community demos, and then Office add-ins is happening monthly with Microsoft demos typically, and then we have our 7 a.m. Thursday series, either Microsoft 365 Power Platform community call or the Viva Connection SharePoint Framework community call. That's happening basically every single weekend, Thursdays, 7 a.m. Pacific time. It's either one of those calls. You can download recurrent invites from AKMS community calls, and also you can use the Meetup. That's a great way of 1 week before, roughly, knowing upcoming agendas. So typically on Wednesday, Thursday timeframe, we are always releasing the next week's agendas in the Meetup. And if you sign up for the Meetup itself, you can actually get an email notification whenever those agendas are getting published. So you can review, do I want to be in that call? Do I want to be on which call, depending on agenda plan. Now, we said that there are a lot of demos which are done by community members, and there's a lot of them. And we do welcome every single one of you within this call to do those demos as well. So if you build something, if you try out something, let's say that you played around with Copilot Studio and you figure out something cool, or you created a Copilot extensibility or Power Apps or SPFX solution or something, and you want to show that to the community, please sign up using the AKMS community request demo, and you can actually showcase your finding. The solution itself doesn't have to be open source, but we do not accept product demos. So that's not the intention in here. If you have something to share about your learnings and findings and technology, that's what we're looking in here. Doesn't have to be rocket science though. So basically getting started storytelling is completely fine, because quite often there's so many new people joining within our technology every single day. So we need those baseline demos as well. We have a lot of assets to get started in the Microsoft Cloud. You can sign up for the Microsoft 365 Developer Tenant. That's the easiest way to get your free tenant for Microsoft 365 development especially. But of course, you can do Power Platform stuff is there as well. And there's a lot of modules available from the Microsoft Learn to learn how to extend Microsoft 365 and Power Platform, or you extend or use them. We also have different shows available. Microsoft 365 PMP Weekly is with me and Walter Mastergaard, who's a cloud advocate. This week we had Emily Mancini from Left Uncharted, executive director in Left Uncharted, a no-profit company or organization. In that show that went live earlier today. Mondays at Microsoft is with Caroline and Heather, happening bi-weekly on Mondays, happening again next Monday is the next episode on that one. And then we have the Microsoft 365 Dev podcast, which have been unfortunately a bit silent since last July, but I'm hearing rumors that it actually might come back. So hopefully that will come back pretty soon. I mentioned that we have a lot of samples from Microsoft and from community, and we have created this unified Microsoft 365 sample gallery at the AKMS community samples. And it's the easiest way to find what samples are available for you across the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform technology stack. So there's so many samples. We just crossed 1,800 samples within this gallery, and you can easily filter based on your interest and what you're looking for using the technical solutions. Based on the estimations, we'll probably hit 200,000 roughly in June, August timeframe. But let's see how fast we can get more samples available. What's really cool in here is that multiple organizations in the Microsoft side as well, as they're building their samples, all of their samples are getting surfaced here automatically. So rather than you going to the GitHub repos and trying to figure out what's the latest sample, what's the latest cool thing, you actually can come to this location and you find all of the samples from one centralized location. Now, as you find the sample, you might be wondering oh my God, how do I now get started? It's in the GitHub. How do I fork? How do I do things? What about my development environments? Oh my God, I don't know what to do. That's why we have sharing is caring. And David is going to talk about quickly what's that all about, directly from LA.
Yes, thank you, Vesa. Yes, so how do you fork? Yeah, well, you freeze it just like the pasta with Stephanie, right? So for those that didn't see it that are watching this afterwards, we'll share. Anyways, sharing is caring. Yes, it is a program to provide hands-on guidance. I know that we've been scaling this, and it feels like Groundhog Day. Bing! That we are repeating ourselves, right? But we are trying to do our best to scale this up. There's been some delays. We appreciate your patience so much. We are starting up those office hours soon, which are going to be a little bit more on-demand opportunities for you and still safe space. So please bear with us. We love you all. We appreciate everything that you're doing, and we're trying to scale to help you out. And we appreciate your passion. So keep it coming, and we will get that to you. Now, with the community recognition program, yes, it is alive and well, definitely, and back for 2024. In fact, we just hit over 1,000 opted-in community members. So you could push us up even higher. It is absolutely free to join. It's powered by Credly. We have more badges coming in 2024, more events, more fun opportunities for you to showcase the work that you're doing in the community. So if you haven't opted in, do that at ak.ms/community/recognition. We will track all the amazing contributions you're doing and make sure that you are recognized. Vesa, back to you in the Finland studios.
Excellent. Thank you, LA and LA Studios. Now, quick recap on upcoming events. The first bigger event happening in April 13th and May 1st and 2nd is the Microsoft 365 conference happening at the Disney World in Orlando, which is really cool. We'll have the big set of Microsoft executives in place, and focus will be, of course, in the Microsoft 365 and AI and automation and all of that cool stuff to hear the latest news, and a lot of interesting new announcements are getting queued up on this conference as well. The second big conference happening in spring is the European Collaboration Summit, also focused on Microsoft 365 and Power Platform. So a lot of news scheduled, and there are a lot of speakers, Microsoft speakers, and also community speakers scheduled over there as well. So if you cannot join us in Orlando, join us in Wiesbaden, Germany. Wiesbaden is right next to Frankfurt, so in the Central Europe, so you can easily step by over there. A lot of interesting workshops in the both of the conferences. Then a bit later in 2024, we have the Seattle and DC and Dallas TechCon 365. It used to be called EduCon. EduCon was renamed as TechCon, so don't get confused over there. If you go techcon365.com, you'll find all of the details around these events as well. So the Seattle is happening still within this semester before the summer, maybe summer vacation. I don't know if it's summer vacation, but anyway, by end of June within this semester. So that's in Seattle. And then in the next semester in autumn, we have also the Microsoft 365 conference happening at Las Vegas, September 18th to 2024. And a lot of workshops and cool sessions getting scheduled there as well. Now, on top of these primary events, there's a lot of other events and community-powered events happening across the world as well. If you go to communitydays.org, you'll find all of the different events which are happening. If you're organizing any of these events, please set up your event details within the communitydays.org so that we can promote your event all around the world. Some of these events have a cost, some of them are free, some of them are virtual, so there's multiple different options to do these events. And the main idea here is that you can easily find an event which is suitable for you, whatever you're looking for, and meeting other community members. Now, quick recap on the news from Microsoft. It was actually a surprisingly quiet week last week, but the big news came actually yesterday, even though it was a federal vacation in US. So the Microsoft 365 Copilot is now available for any big sizes of businesses and companies within the world. So technically, one person or as an individual person, as an individual, you can actually buy the Microsoft 365 Copilot. So that announcement came out yesterday, and there's a lot of excitement in the social media around that. Other big announcements last week was focusing actually on retail and retail extensibility and options, and that's because there was a retail conference happening last week where all of those three different blog posts were more focusing on. And then on top of that, we had the Viva controls and Viva options, and then also modern controls evolution blog post around the Power Platform. But that's a quick recap on that side. I know that. Thank you, David, for putting the news within the chat as well. And now, before we actually go to the real stars of the day, let's do a quick group photo together for those who are willing to do that. So I will move in here. If you put the video on, we have 50 seats in the room, and Stephanie is showing that now. That's good. And then we can do hand and waves. And there we go. Thank you, Stephanie, showing how that can be done. I will put the recording on. If we have 50 seats in the room, we're not yet quite recording. Now the recording is actually happening. I will not enable my camera because we can see a lot of people actually enabling theirs. So I don't want to eat up the seat. And let's do 3, 2, 1. And let's do some hand waving. Stephanie in the back is showing how this can be done together. Excellent. Awesome to have you on the call. Awesome to have you. Happy faces. This is really, really cool. A lot of familiar faces here as well. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Thanks for dancing, Nick, over there. I saw that as well. Brilliant, brilliant. Cool. We'll grab a GIF animation out of that and share that in the social media for sure. Now, then we'll go to the actual stars of the day. So we'll start with Garry Trinder around extensibility for Microsoft 365, and then we move to Grant Archibald after Garry around the approvals kit, and then Patrick Rodgers is the last demo spot of the day. But I guess, Garry, you are ready to go.
I am. Hopefully you can hear me all well. I'm just sharing my screen. Hopefully that all come through.
Yes, we can see the screen. Take it away.
Excellent. Perfect. Thank you, Vesa. So as Vesa mentioned, this is a continuation from last week. This is a series that we're going to be doing over the coming weeks and months about extending Microsoft Copilot for Microsoft 365. So today's session, I'm going to talk about extending Copilot with plugins specifically. Now, this is a series, quick recap. Last week, we talked about the different options available to you for Copilot for Microsoft 365. So there are two ways to extend Copilot. You have Microsoft Graph connectors, and you have plugins that are available to you. And just to quickly recap as well, which one to use when. Here we've got the differences in front of you. A plugin is going to be used to access data in real time. So up-to-date data that's structured data, maybe from APIs, from external systems that you want to read, but also write as well and act upon. With a Graph connector, it's slightly different. This is ingesting your company data into Microsoft Graph, so it's part of the semantic index. It's part of the knowledge of Copilot, and you're bringing that data in, which is more relevant to unstructured and flattened data, and also data that is read-only as well. But today we're focusing purely on the left-hand side. We're focusing on Copilot plugins. So first question, how do I build a plugin? Well, again, you have two options. We have a pro-code approach, and we also have a low-code approach. So on the pro-code side, building a plugin for Copilot, you're actually building a Microsoft 365 app. And inside that app is going to be a message extension. And you can use tooling like Teams Toolkit for Visual Studio Code and Visual Studio to build these apps with these message extensions. There is the alternative approach as well. So there is a low-code approach using Power Platform, using the Microsoft Copilot Studio. For today, I'm going to be focusing on the left-hand side, so I'm going to focus on the Pro Code story. We will be covering the Power Platform and Microsoft Copilot Studio in a later session. And we'll go through and talk about maybe the differences between the two approaches as well. So I'm going to go straight onto a demo, and I'm going to show you what a message extension actually is. If you're not aware of what a message extension is, we're going to go through that and show how you're building for Copilot, but you're actually building for Teams, and you're actually building for Outlook as well. So you can go away and build a message extension today and use it today, and then when you get access to Copilot Microsoft 365 Chat, then you can benefit from that investment that you have made. So I'm going to go to my browser here, and I've got a SharePoint list here. Why have I got a SharePoint list here? Well, a message extension is a great way of being able to search external systems. So SharePoint is an external system. This list is external to Microsoft Teams, and I want to build a message extension so that users can search this list and they can embed content into a message. And I can show you how that works if I go to Microsoft Teams. So I've got a chat open with my colleague, Archibald, and I can go and use the message extension to search that list. So if I go to the little flyout down at the bottom, we can see that I've got a Contoso product app, and this is what contains my message extension. And if I click on this, it gives me a text field where I can search the list and bring back some information from that list. It's actually done that for me. So there's a bit of a first run experience there where it's just gone and got all of the products, and it's represented it in this results layout where we have a little graphic. There's a preview and some minor information about the title and the category of the retail category of that product. And I can select this product and I can embed this into my message, and I can add buttons to this, and I can send this to Aicha. Aicha could then get this, view the actual record in SharePoint, or actually edit the record directly from within Teams as well. Now, this message extension, it works in Teams, but it also shows up in Outlook as well. So I can benefit in Outlook, say I'm sending emails, not just sending Teams messages. If I create a new email here, I can go up to the apps drawer, and I can see my app again, Contoso Products. It contains the message extension. I get a similar experience to what I had in Teams, and I'm going to get a list of products back, and then I can embed this into my email as well. I can send this email, and then the recipient can then use that content in there, the actions, and I can show you that. I'll just show you one that I sent before. I've got view button and I've got the edit button there. So I'll just click on view, and that's going to open the let's open the SharePoint list item, and I go back to here, and if I click edit, we get an inline form, so I can actually edit it through the email as well, and click save, and then update that information in SharePoint as well. Okay, so what's kind of happening here? Right, I'm going to open DevTools. I'm going to see what's happening behind the scenes here. So let's open the message extension again. And this time I'm going to actually search. I'm going to put Mark 8 in here. You can see I've got a few requests that have been sent from this message extension. So in here, I'll just make this a little bit bigger. We can see that we have. So this is the content that's been sent to our message extension, which tells us the command ID, which is search. I can see that we've been we've passed some parameters as well. So you can see here, we've got the actual text there, which is Mark 8. And my message extension is getting that and going, oh, okay, I can act upon this and I can filter the actual results that come back, and I can, show them in the results. And the results come back as a compose extension. I'll show it here. So it's a compose extension response from our message extension, which basically contains an array of attachments. And these attachments show the content, so what I actually injected into the message, and also preview as well. So in the preview in here, you can see that we've got some images in there. We've got the subtitle and the title, which relates to this. And in the content, we've got a huge adaptive card. So in here, I'll just expand this. We can see that we have our image here. We have our information like call volume, release date, and we've got the actions as well, which are displayed on there. So we're sending a request off to our message extension saying, yeah, I want to search for Mark 8 products. The message extension is returning adaptive cards for us. And that's how a message extension works at a very high level. You put your search criteria in, the message extension returns this attachments array that contains adaptive cards. Okay, so let's just take a quick look at what that looks like in Microsoft 365 chat. Just put in a prompt. So when using this plugin in Microsoft 365 chat, I've already enabled the plugin. I'll just open the flyout and show you that. So it's already enabled. Copilot is going to actually call our message extension for us, but it's going to work out what it needs to send. So in the case where I showed the message extension in Teams, it passed the Mark 8 value, and that was direct from the user interface. That was direct from me actually, typing in the words. With Copilot, that's different. The same thing is happening, but Copilot is deciding based upon what I've passed in as the prompt, what to send through. Okay, so it's slightly different, but you can see that we've got some similarities here where we've got the we have our main adaptive card with our actions in here as well that show in the results. So it's working exactly the same way in Teams and Outlook in Microsoft 365 chat. Microsoft 365 chat has just taken that response of adaptive cards and gone, okay, I know that I can I can represent that in my summary and have that information as part of its response. So it's gone and got that information from our plugin. Okay, so let's just take a quick look at the architecture of what was going on behind the scenes there. So here is a message extension. Here's how everything worked. So a message extension is a Microsoft 365 app. So that is deployed into Microsoft Teams with using an app package. And that app package contains manifest. It basically says, this app contains a message extension, and here's the information that you need to represent that. And that's shown up in the different clients. So it's shown up in Teams, in Microsoft 365 chat, and in Outlook. And when the user is interacting with that client, there's actually messages going to a bot service in between. So we have a bot service that's getting the messages from the client, and it's then relaying that to a web server where our bot code is running. And our bot code is then going off and going, okay, I've been sent a message from this bot service. I've got this parameter that had the Mark 8 name in there. I'm going to use that to send a request off to to get my external content based on that. And then I'm going to return that. I'm going to return that back to the bot service, which is then going to relay that back to the client. So I mentioned with Teams and Outlook, it's very direct. The UI is pretty much doing those direct calls, and I showed that in developer tools. However, Copilot is slightly different because it's a service that's actually making that call. If I open the dev tools up in Microsoft 365 chat, I wouldn't see these requests going backwards and forwards, because the Copilot service is doing that for us. So there's a question here of, well, how does Copilot choose what to send, and how does it know what to send as well? So when a user adds in, kind of like the prompt, like I did, which was find products at Contoso aimed at individuals, it can reason over that prompt and understand the user's intent. And what it does when it's coming up with those reasoning, it's actually searching for relevant tools to say, do I have a tool that can help me answer this question? And this is where the message extensions come in, is that Copilot is going off and going, yes, I found something that can help. And then it needs to know, okay, well, it can help, but what do I need to send to it? And what does this message extension accept? Before then, executing it to say, hey, you can do something for me, here's the information that you need, and then execute that, return the results, and then Copilot will use all of those results to generate its summary, because it could be getting data from like a graph connector, it could be getting the data from multiple plugins. So the Copilot service is orchestrating behind the scenes and calling all these different plugins when relevant to the prompt before generating the summary and then returning that in the response. Now, there's one thing that's missing, which I'm going to go through now, is, okay, so how does Copilot actually know what my message extension is capable of? And this is where the app manifest really comes into play here. And I'm going to show you this. Here is my app manifest for the example which I shown in here. So this is part of the app package. This describes the functionality of the app, right? And this basically says that it has a message extension. So I have a compose extensions array defined here that says I have a message extension in here that can be used. But we have things like the name of the app. We also have app descriptions as well. So we have a short and a full description. And in here, Copilot is using this information as part of its discovery. So we need to make sure that when building our message extensions, plugins, that we really think about what our descriptions are being used by Copilot for. So things like, okay, it's a tool to look at products. It gets real-time information. It can work in Microsoft 365 chat. We have a few examples in here as well, just to help Copilot in its discovery to go, okay, I think I found something that can help. Once it finds the app, it's then looking in the app to go, okay, what commands have I got available to then use in here? And we have a command here which is just got the ID of search, but it's a query command which has a description of, well, this command will help you find products by name or by target audience. So great, Copilot can understand then, okay, I can use this to find products. And then we have parameters, and these are kind of the slots of information that Copilot can send through to our code, which then we can use to call APIs, return the data back. So we have two here, which is product name, and you may notice there was only one that was shown in the user interface in Teams and in Outlook, and that is one thing to note, is that Teams and Outlook only support one parameter. So the name was only shown there, and yes, I could add some text in there, and if I'm using it in Teams and using it in Outlook, I can only search by name. Copilot supports multiple parameters. It supports up to 5, actually. So with Copilot, you can be a bit more complex in the questions that you're asking. Your prompt is generally more complex. It's not just searching by keywords. It's semantic based search. So when I put the prompt in that said, find products at Contoso aimed at individuals, it was looking at this parameter and going, okay, I'm looking for a target audience, and this parameter here tells me that, or tells Copilot that that this is relevant to the audience that the product is aimed at. And we can actually say, well, if someone says related to individuals, what you actually mean is consumer products, and the same for businesses. So Copilot can then understand this and say, okay, you've asked for individuals, but what you actually meant was consumer products. So for me as a message extension developer, if there's certain values that I want added in there and add constraints in, I can use the description to do that. And in a nutshell, that is a message extension very, very quickly as an overview. But we're going to dive in even more in future sessions. Next week, my colleague Waldek Mastercars is going to cover extending Copilot for Microsoft 365 with graph connectors. And then, like I said, part of the series, we're going to deep dive into more of the samples. The sample which I've shown you, doing another session where I'm going to get into the code and show you exactly what's happening inside that message extension. And with that, if you want to find any more information about extending Copilot, go to aka.ms/extend Copilot M365. Vesa, back to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Garry, on that one. Really, really cool. Awesome intro. Really, really cool. The baseline and everything. And as Garry was saying, we'll go more deep dive in the samples and scenarios as part of this series. Now, next on the demo slots is Grant, talking about the introduction on approvals kit for Power Platform.
Excellent. Thanks, Vesa. Let me just share my screen. Let me know when you can see it.
I can see the screen. Take it away.
Fantastic. Okay, I'll put the chat in here. So I'm Grant Archibald. I'm a program manager in the Power Platform Customer Advisory team. And one of the kits we've released in December last year is the Approvals Kit. And I've got some links there that you can follow through. And we'll do a quick demo of quickly set up what the Approvals Kit is first, and then go through a demo of how it works and what it does. So let's start into it. Okay, so if we kind of look at the approvals connector, if we look at our large customers, 90% of those large customers in their Power Automate process already using our approvals connector today. So it's something that we see a common scenario that we've got in when you're automating your approvals process, that they're using the approvals connector today. And what we see, there's generally kind of three kind of personas in this process. One of the initial kind of personas is this Power Platform administrator that may want to go create Power Platform environments, set up your data loss prevention policy, and import solutions and set things up. Then there's this kind of approvals administrator kind of persona where they want to go create and model approvals processes. And then the last one is just the actual approver themselves, where they're in Teams or Outlook or in the Power Automate portal, they actually just want to make the approvals. So given those three personas, these kind of map to different personas we see with the automation kit in terms of getting people started and set up, somebody that wants to go model their approvals process, and then the people that want to do the approvals itself. And if we want to compare the two kits, one of the common questions we get is, what's the difference between the out-of-the-box approvals connector and the approvals kit? So the out-of-the-box approvals connector, you can do basic approvals. It is a generally available connector that's there today. The approvals kit goes and builds on that out-of-the-box approvals connector, but it adds a lot of other kind of managed components to Power Platform solution around it. So it goes and adds a Power App to enable you to manage and use low-code approval processes. It adds a set of Power Automate flows, and it stores all the approval process and the different versions inside Dataverse. And it adds a custom connector to make this process easier. So we kind of wrapped all that up on top of the basic connector, and we've released this to public preview in December last year. The kind of follow-on question from that is so why do we need the approvals kit compared to the approvals connector? So some of the things we see is you can go build custom solutions on top of the approval connector today. So Some of the things that we see on top of that, though, there's common scenarios where customers need to go build solutions, a custom solution on top of that. So maybe they want to hit an approval history of like who made those approvals over time. They want to have an audit history around that. They want to create more complicated multi-stage approvals. They want to handle the case where somebody's out of office and they wanted to go delegate to someone else, and may have different work days or schedules for people that are working around the world. So you can kind of build those today, but that's on you to kind of build those things. Whereas the approvals kit, we kind of bring all those things together into one kit, and we use some of the premium features of Dataverse and custom connectors to bring that together. So that's probably some of the key differences from a high level. So what I want to do now is just kind of switch gears and show you an example of kind of what this looks like. So I'm going to take the Contoso Coffee app in a day solution, which goes and takes, it's a application, it's a power app that enables you to order coffee machines. We're going to go create a process where it goes, and when you make the request, you get an approval that comes through to Teams, or it comes through to Outlook, or goes to the Power Automate portal to an approval. And if the value of that is greater than $400, we want to go send that to your manager. And based on that manager approval, we want to see what's the outcome of that machine request. And we'll briefly touch on where they kind of delegate it, how you go set up your settings around delegated approvals. So let's quickly jump in and we'll go have a look at what this looks like. So as we're going to go through this here, and we come and look at machine orders. So this is the starting point. This is the Contoso Coffee machine ordering application. So I can go pick a coffee machine, and I've got it come into my user and go submit a request. So what this is doing is just gone and saved a machine order into my Dataverse. And if I go across here to OK, I come across to approvals and refresh this. In about a minute or so, we'll get our approval coming through. So this is the one I created earlier. So I'll just go with that one there and go approve or confirm that. So once I've gone approve, it then goes, says, okay, the first stage, my first self-approval has been completed. And then because that first one is completed, it will send off a second request because the value of that is above $400. So this is my first submit for the one I just did here. I hit submit. And the same thing would turn up here, would come up when it does it in Teams, or would turn up into Outlook. So you choose whatever way. So you're just using your standard way that you'd see there connected today to get that approval coming through. Go confirm. And if I go refresh now, we should see the above $400 approvals turned up because the values turned up. Now we've got to do a manager request because it's above $400. And we can put approve on this, and we've confirmed this. So let's go have a look at how we did this process. So if I come back to this, inside my Power Automate here, I've got just a Cloudflow. And a Cloudflow is listening for changes to, in this case, it's listening to changes in my Dataverse record. So when that machine order was created or added, we kick off a request. So when this is added, it saves in machine orders, and then we just kick off this defined machine request. You can see here that this is version 3 of the machine request. So the approvals kit understands there's multiple versions. So the author of this can go create multiple versions of this, and as they want to make changes. And this is all just done in low code, not changing the definition of this Cloudflow. You're just coming in, publishing this into Dataverse, and you go select which version of the process. We can then pass in information that came from Dataverse. So in this case here, we're passing who made the request, what their name and their price is. So that's all we kind of need at the simplest from a Dataverse point of view. So saving it, put us into Dataverse and from the Cloudflow. We then come back to what does it look like from a low-code designer. So we're going to go into that persona now that wants to go model the process. We come in here, we can see all the approvals that have been made. But from a designer point of view, we just go to the designer, we go pick the version of the approval process we want to do. So in this case here, this is the machine request. We open up the process designer, and in the process designer, it models out this is what that process was. So we've got multiple stages and nodes that refer to the different stages of this machine request. So this is using the similar approach that the Power Automate process where they come through and say, here's a stage where I had this first submit, we did a self-approval, and then I had this manager approval, and I could go edit this, and we could go change our settings around who are the approvers I want. I could change my delegation rules around whether or not it's out of office, or when I have a timeout based on if the timeout's not done, I want to go have that sent to my delegate if I don't respond in a certain time. So that's kind of a very quick high view of what the approvals kit is. I can go configure that, and I can come in and set my basic settings if I want from a delegated point of view and say, okay, I'd like to go pick someone else so I may want to go pick Adele and have Adele as my approver if I'm out of office. And I can go set my work schedules. So that's hopefully gives you a very quick overview of what the approvals kit is. And let's just jump back. So what we went through there was, and I'll just jump to the slide. We went through your learning path. You can go start looking at the approvals kit. You can look at our video that gives you an idea of how it works. You can join our monthly office hours. If you're that IT persona, you can kind of go look at, how do you go set this up? There's a learn module that we have that can guide you through pretty much what I showed you there, of starting from very simple application and building up multiple stage approvals. And then on the larger side, from an instructor guide, we've got a way of saying, how would you help a group of people come through this process? If you want to kind of dive into it, you can take that learning module, which kind of takes you on a structured path of taking you through that process. So it takes about 30 minutes to an hour to go through that process. So you can set up that process. So that's pretty much where we are. We're on a path of and continually improving this. This is an open source solution like we create with a lot of our other kits that you can use to go improve it. So as you join our office hours, we're going to talk through, what are some of the things that we're looking at improving. So welcome you to kind of have a look at the approvals kit, join the community, look at features that are important to you, and look forward to just getting your feedback around how you use the approvals kit.
Excellent. Thank you, Grant. Really, really cool stuff, and awesome example of a incredibly powerful and useful open source stuff. So thank you for creating that and sharing that with the community. So brilliant stuff. Excellent. And then the third demo of today within this call is with Patrick Rodgers. Patrick, I saw you on a call. Checking the audio.
Hello, can you
There
hear me?
we go. Yes,
Right.
audio is good. And we can see the screen. You need to zoom in a bit. We can see a browser right now.
No, I don't. This is a SharePoint site. You all are familiar with these. The only reason this is on the screen is I just want to prove real quick that I have access, my user has access to this site. So what we want to talk about today is we're going to talk about Sites.Selected for delegated access. And in the description was mentioned app folder for app-only access. I'm not able to demo the app folder stuff today for a few reasons. Don't worry about that. It's coming very, very soon. But we're going to look at the Sites.Selected for delegated access today. So I'm really excited to introduce this capability. It's been long asked for, and it really helps increase the overall security of the service by allowing the Sites.Selected access, but with the user presence. And so that means the app can never do more than the current user can do, which is a little bit better for security. So I want to walk through that real quick. And the first thing we're going to look at is just that, hey, I here have this website and I can access it in SharePoint as my user, and that's great. The next thing we want to do is set up an application. We've all done this before. I'm pretty sure, but I'm going to make my test app. We're going to do a spa. This doesn't matter because we're not actually going to use this one, but we'll just say local host. We're going to register that application, and we're going to get this app ID. Now, I'm going to put a special little link here in the chat. If I could find the chat here. And so what you're going to see here is, so this scope is, due to some timing, of course, for my demo, is not quite ready. It's not available yet in the admin center, but it's coming very, very, very soon, governed only really now by some rollout schedules. So it's coming very, very soon. But for now, I've got this app, and one of the things I need to do is under authentication real quick. I'm just going to check access tokens and ID tokens. I'm going to hit save.
Patrick,
Yes.
please, can you zoom in a bit? Because again, you're doing things in admin UI, and I don't think anybody can. Excellent.
Sure,
Thank you.
Vesa. Of
you.
course.
Just making it easier to follow.
Of course. I've checked these two boxes here, access tokens and ID tokens. A new feature, I'm sure. But one of the things, I don't have a way to really zoom in on the address bar here, but what I can do is let's get a notepad and let's do a zoom in, view, zoom in. So what we've got, just for to allow folks to do some temporary testing before it is available fully in the admin center to select, is you could use this URL, which I pasted in the chat, which has your tenant ID is this parameter here, and then your client ID is the parameter here. And you'll see that is the client ID from, let me get back to, I don't know if I can get back to my test app from here. I'm gonna have to zoom out. So there we go. So my application ID is here, and that's this 6939, etc. And so if I go back to my window here, you can see I've got the ID there, response type token, and you can see I put the scope in here as graph.microsoft.com/sites.selected. And so I'm going to paste that URL into my browser. Ooh, Gandalf-Balrog relationship explained. So neat. What we can see here, and let me try and zoom in some more. So the permissions requested, you've seen this dialog, I imagine, a lot, but one of the things that's new is you're accessing the selected sites on behalf of the signed in user. So this is actually the delegated access we're enabling here for this scenario. And I'm going to consent to all the apps, and I'm going to accept. And this URL trick just allows you to do this before it is available in the service. So ignore this. This is it trying to redirect to my localhost app with an access token and so forth. But we're going to kind of skip all this, and we're going to use an app I've already created here just to make things a little bit easier. So I'm going to try and switch over to a little bit of demo app. I'm going to demo this using a little library called PnP.js that you might have heard of. And I've set up this other client ID, which is the one I'd already set up, but I would put my client ID that I just set up there. We're going to use the built-in PnP.js SPA testing app, and we're going to use, this is my login authority tenant there. And what I'm trying to do is make a request to this site. And if you trust me, and I hope you do, that URL, and let me log in, is going to this website here. So it's the site ID for this site collection. And if we go over here to the SPA, and if you'll notice, I've got the serve running in the background. But if I refresh here, you can see access denied. And if we do this and go to network, try again, go to network, here we go. We're going to go get our bear token here. And we're going to go to jwt.ms, and that just exposes the token. But I just want to point out here real quick, this is a delegated token. We've got user and app information in this token. So this is a delegated token we're trying to use, and we're getting access denied. So the next step is just to go, and we're going to grant this access here through Graph Explorer. And this is exactly like the process for, first I'm going to do a get. We can see there's no permissions in the collection. And this is the exact same process for Sites.Selected that you're familiar with, except the app we've created happens to have the delegated scope. So there's no difference in this call. I think that's really helpful. But you can see I'm just doing the exact same thing I would for Sites.Selected application only, but for delegated. And I'm going to run that query, and I get back the stuff I get back. And now if we do a get on permissions, you'll see my app is listed there as you expect. And if I go back to this page, I now get data from the site. So just that easily, I'm able to enable the Sites.Selected delegated permissions to the site. And so that works just like Sites.Selected without delegated. And just to make sure, whoop, that's not what I wanted to do. Just to make sure that there's no tricks up my sleeve, I'll show that the token that did work is still a delegated token. So it's got the user and the app ID in there. And that works now to get us access to this site's details on our testing page. So you can see the details come back. And just as with Sites.Selected app only, if I get the ID, which is a very easy to remember string here, and I run a delete there, you'll see that, let me get rid of this, and let me go back to get and run that. You'll see nothing back in that collection, and my test app is back to access denied, so working as you would expect. So this is a great new capability that will really allow you to permission your apps a little more securely by limiting both the site that the app would have access to, as well as not allowing the app to do any more than the current users can do. Current users can do. So this makes things a little bit more secure in your environment and is a big piece of our journey towards getting everything to support application and delegated as much as possible. And so, as I mentioned, this very similar thing is coming for app folders will support application only. Previously, that was delegated only. It actually was the other way. And then one final note for right now, and we'll see, but these calls are going to be supported. The Site.Selected delegated will be supported through the Microsoft Graph only for initial launch. So we're going to look at supporting that as a first step, and then we'll do our best to maybe expand that support depending on the feedback we get and how things go there. So I'm going to glance very quickly at the chat to see if there's any, let's see, questions here.
I think Ralph's question is related on the context of the permissions. So for example, per folder, per list, just to recap on what you were going through.
Per folder. No, so this is Site.Selected still, but it is Site.Selected plus user. So it is Site.Selected delegated mode. So it is at the site collection level. The work we're doing to enable permissioning at lower levels is still in progress. It's related to this, but not the same. So that is still coming, but has been delayed slightly from last year. So we are still working on that. But so this is all site collection level. Will this work with the Microsoft Graph Search API? Not in the way I think you imagine right now today. We had to get this out, and now the next step is to work with the search folks to consume this permission data. Site.Selected works with the search API, but you're not going to get per user results with Site.Selected at this time. So that's work we need to get as well in place. So I'm looking back up the questions. It's delegated permissions. It's the intersection of permissions between the user and the application. And then, yeah, the same permissions for Site.Selected are read, edit, or read, write, and full control. And then as well, we're working on an owner or manage permission in there as well. And then I think that's all the questions from my demo.
Yep. And again, can we one more time? You just said it, but again, because this is complicated quite often to understand. So basically, the new thing here is that the user permissions count. So you don't have to grant only app-only permissions per site collection. Now you can say app-only permissions plus the user permissions to count. So therefore, it's more secure. And even though application has been granted high level of permission, but as the user permissions do count as well, even though application has high permission, user cannot access information across the boundary.
Exactly right. So the way to think about that is I could give the application full control to a site collection, but if the current user has only read access, they would only be able to read data, not edit anything, even though the application could, with a user that had full control, access everything or do everything.
Yeah. Really, really cool. Cool. I think that's it for now. Thank you, Patrick, on that one. That is a really awesome step forward on the permission management, and thank you for showcasing that live within the demo as well. I think whenever we will do the documentation, all of this would need to do the circles and permissions and all of that. What does the delegation mean? Because again, for us in Microsoft, all of this baseline things might be super clear, but then for external audience, it might be a bit more confusing if you're not quite up to date on what's happening. Thank you, by the way, Boo. Exactly what I was referring to related on delegated and app owner permission. Thank you. That's an awesome slide on the chat for Bo Cameron. Now, really cool. So thank you, Garry. Thank you, Grant. Thank you, Patrick. Awesome stuff on the demos. Cool stuff. And really awesome to see all of these capabilities live as well. Now, next week, we have, again, 3 demos queued up already. So we'll start with Waldeck Mastercards on extending Copilot for Microsoft 365 with graph connectors. And what does that mean in practice? And that's a different way of doing extensibility in the Copilot for Microsoft 365, getting the data in the search index advanced, but I'm not going to spill in all of the bins within that demo. So Walter's going to talk about that one and what it means in practice. Then DC Badur is going to talk about the latest on the SharePoint Pages API with Microsoft Graphs. So we do have some news bubbling over there. He's going to talk about the timelines and all of that. And Sebastian Levert is going to talk about the new Microsoft Graph Toolkit V4, which has been already, I think we announced that it's coming, but we haven't actually shown all of the details on what's new. All of that is now getting then covered within next Tuesday. Tomorrow, we have the Power Platform community call, Power Platform community call, the monthly community call at 8 a.m. Pacific time happening. And then on Thursday, we have the 7 a.m. series happening as well. So a lot of community calls again this week, looking into having more than 1,000 attendees all up probably within these calls. That's typical numbers within here. But thank you for joining. Really cool. Now, if you have questions related outside of the community calls, please use the different channels what we have available. One of those channels is also the Discord server, which seems to be catching up on the audience. So we do have more than 1,000 members already within this Discord server helping each other with the questions. So if you are familiar with Discord and you're already in Discord and this feels more natural for you, now there's a location for you to take advantage of the accessing the other people within the community. We are also always looking for feedback around these calls and ideas. So please do give us input on what you would like to see here. Are the goals good? Are they valuable? Are they not valuable? If you would like to change something, please tell that as well. If they're awesome, please do tell that as well, because that helps on us continuing having these calls in the future. So it's important for the company to understand the value of these calls. But for now, thank you for this one. The recording will be available within the YouTube channel within 24 hours. Follow us on Twitter or subscribe to that YouTube channel, and you will know when the call is available. The next call is on 23rd of January at 8 a.m. Pacific time. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of the week. All the best, and we'll be in touch. Hopefully, we'll see you in some of the other calls. If not, see you next week. Cheers. Bye-bye.